The sky turned purple as the sun went down over the desert. Jack Miller stood on the roof of the research building. He watched the strange light show in the clouds. It had been 3 days since the first alien signal reached Earth. 3 days of confusion, fear, and too many questions. Jack was not supposed to be part of this. He was just a regular engineer who fixed radio equipment. But when strange patterns started showing up on the receivers at the desert research station, everything changed. "Jack, they need you downstairs," called Mary Brown from the doorway. Her red hair blew in the evening wind. She had dark circles under her eyes. Nobody had slept much since it all began. Jack nodded and followed her down the stairs. The main control room was filled with people working at computer screens. Maps and charts covered the walls. Coffee cups were everywhere. Dr. Ben Howard waved Jack over to a large screen showing wavy lines and strange symbols. "Our friends up there are talking again," he said, pointing to the sky. "But we still don't know what they're saying." Jack looked at the symbols. They seemed to change shape even as he watched them. "Have we tried sending our message again?" "Every hour on the hour," said Ben. "They respond each time with something new. We think they understand we're here, but not what we're saying." The world leaders had decided to send a simple greeting. Basic math. Images of humans. Earth's location in the solar system. Simple stuff that any space-traveling aliens should understand. But the aliens kept sending back these strange changing patterns. "Look at this," said Linda Grant, the team's best computer expert. She pointed to a section of symbols that pulsed, with light. "This part is new. It keeps repeating." Jack leaned closer. Something about the pattern seemed familiar. "It almost looks like," he began. The building suddenly shook. A deep sound, more felt than heard, made everyone grab onto something. The lights flickered. "What was that?" someone shouted. The main doors burst open. A soldier ran in, out of breath. "Something's happening," he gasped. "There's a thing in the sky, coming down fast." Everyone rushed outside. Jack's heart beat fast as he looked up. A light grew larger above them. At first it looked like a falling star, but it moved too slowly. It changed direction too smoothly. "It's them," whispered Mary beside him. "They're coming." The object descended toward the flat desert floor about a mile from the research station. It gave off a soft blue glow that lit up the sand around it. It wasn't very big, maybe the size of a school bus. "Is it a ship?" asked Linda. "Too small for a main ship," said Ben. "Probably a scout or a probe." Military vehicles were already racing toward the landing site. Helicopters appeared in the distance. Jack knew that despite all the friendly messages sent to space, Earth's governments weren't taking any chances. "Need to get there," Jack said suddenly. Ben looked at him like he was crazy. "The military will handle this." "No," Jack insisted. "Look at those symbols again. I think I know what they're trying to tell us." Back in the control room, Jack pointed to the pulsing patterns. "These aren't just random. They're showing energy flows. Like a circuit diagram, but much more complex." Mary looked closer. "You're right, but why would they send us their technology plans?" "Because they need help," Jack said. "I think their ship or whatever it is might be damaged. They're not just saying hello. They're asking for repairs." The team looked at each other. If Jack was right, the military approach could make things worse. Scared soldiers facing desperate aliens was a bad mix. "We need to get to that landing site," Linda said. "Now." They took 2 jeeps across the desert. The night had fully arrived, making the blue glow from the alien object even brighter. Military vehicles had formed a ring around it, with soldiers pointing weapons at the silent visitor. Jack spotted General Harris, who was in charge of desert security. The general was not happy to see civilians approaching. "Turn around now," he ordered. "This is a military zone, sir," Jack said, stepping forward. "We understand what they're trying to communicate. They need technical help." The general frowned. "And you know this how?" "The signals they've been sending," Ben explained. "They're technical diagrams. They're asking for assistance with some kind of energy system." General Harris looked doubtful. "Even if that's true, we can't just walk up and offer to fix their spaceship." A new sound came from the alien object. A section of its smooth surface changed color and then seemed to melt away, forming an opening. Everyone tensed. "Sir," Jack said quietly to the general. "If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it from orbit. They came down and opened their door. That's universal language for 'let's talk.'" The general considered this. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Let me approach with basic tools," Jack said. "Just me. If they really need technical help, I can at least see what we're dealing with." After a long moment, General Harris nodded. "No weapons, stay in full view. At the first sign of trouble, you run back to us." Jack gathered some basic tools from the Jeep. His hands shook slightly as he put them in a clear plastic box. This was definitely not what he expected when he took the job fixing satellite dishes in the desert. "Be careful," Mary said, touching his arm. Jack walked slowly toward the glowing object. His shadow stretched long across the sand. The soldiers watched silently. The world held its breath. As he got closer, Jack could see that the object's surface wasn't metal as he had expected. It seemed more like glass or crystal, but it moved slightly, like water in gentle waves. The opening in the side was about 7 feet tall. A soft light came from inside. Jack stopped about 10 feet away and held up his hands to show he carried only tools. For a moment, nothing happened. Then something moved in the opening. Jack's mouth opened in surprise as the alien appeared. It wasn't at all what he expected. It wasn't like the movies with big heads and large eyes. Instead, it looked almost like a tall, thin human made of shifting colored light. It had no solid form, but somehow still had a shape. The being of light stepped, or floated, toward Jack. It made no sound. It had no visible mouth. But somehow Jack felt rather than heard a question in his mind. "Help?" Jack nodded slowly, holding up his tools. "I'll try." He didn't know if the alien understood his words, but it seemed to understand his intention. It moved aside, inviting him in. Jack took a deep breath and stepped forward into the unknown. Behind him, humans watched with fear and hope. Above him, stars twinkled in the night sky. And all around him, the universe waited to see what would happen when two different worlds tried to understand each other. The adventure had only just begun. Jack stepped inside the alien craft. The walls glowed with soft blue light. The inside was one round room with no chairs, no controls, and no buttons. Just smooth surfaces that pulsed with light. The light being moved to the center of the room. It raised what might have been an arm and pointed to a spot on the wall where the blue light flickered. Jack moved closer. The wall was not solid. Up close he could see millions of tiny dots of light moving in patterns. "Is this your engine?" Jack asked. He knew the alien might not understand his words, but he kept talking anyway. It helped him think. The light being made a sound like gentle wind chimes. It pointed again at the flickering spot. Now Jack could see that the pattern of lights was broken there. Some dots moved faster, some slower. The pattern was not right. "Something's wrong with your energy system," Jack said. He put down his tool box and studied the wall more closely. "But I don't know how to fix it." The light being moved next to him. Suddenly, Jack felt a warm feeling in his head. Images appeared in his mind. He saw the craft flying through space. He saw Earth growing larger. He saw a flash of what looked like lightning in the blackness of space. And then he saw the pattern of lights breaking. "You hit something in space," Jack said. "Some kind of energy burst damaged your systems." The being made more chime sounds. Jack felt it was saying yes. Jack took a deep breath. He had fixed many things in his life: radios, computers, cars, but never an alien spacecraft. "Let me try something," he said. He pulled out a small device from his toolbox. It was a simple energy reader he used to test electrical systems. He pointed it at the broken pattern. The reader lit up with numbers and graphs. Jack's eyes widened. "This energy is like nothing I've seen before," he said. "But it's still energy. It follows some kind of rules." He watched the pattern for several minutes, looking for any logic in how the lights moved. Slowly, he began to see it. The pattern wasn't random. It was like a dance where all the dancers knew the steps. "I think I understand." Jack said. Some of your light dots are out of sync with the others. They're dancing to the wrong beat. The being made the chime sound again. Jack felt another warm flash in his mind. He saw the being doing something to the wall, touching it with its light hands. The pattern fixing itself. You normally fix it yourself, Jack said. But something is stopping you. The being's light dimmed slightly. Jack felt sadness wash over him. Not his own sadness, but the alien's feelings. What's blocking you? Jack asked. Why can't you fix it? More images filled Jack's mind. The energy burst in space, the being trying to touch the wall but its light hands passing through. A feeling of weakness. The energy burst hurt you, Jack realized. You're too weak to interact with your own technology, right now. The being's light brightened a little as if saying, correct. Jack thought hard. If the alien couldn't touch its own ship to fix it, maybe a human could. But how? He wasn't made of light. He didn't understand alien technology. Then, he had an idea. If your ship responds to energy, he said, maybe I can use electricity to mimic what you would do. He turned to his toolbox again and pulled out a small battery-powered device he used to test electrical circuits. It could send out controlled electrical pulses. Show me again what you would do to fix it, Jack said. The being moved its light, hands over the wall in a specific pattern. Jack watched carefully, then raised his testing device. He tried to copy the same pattern, sending small electrical pulses into the wall where the being had touched. At first, nothing happened. The broken pattern continued to flicker. But then, slowly, some of the light dots began to move more smoothly. They fell back into the dance with the others. It's working, Jack said. The being made a chiming sound that somehow felt like happiness. It pointed to another spot on the wall. Jack moved his device there, copying the alien's motions. More light dots returned to their proper pattern. The flickering lessened. Outside, the craft. Mary watched nervously with the others. It had been 20 minutes since Jack entered the alien object. Should we check on him? She asked Ben. Before he could answer, General Harris raised his hand. Something's happening. The blue glow of the craft grew stronger. It hummed with new energy. Inside, Jack worked with the light being, moving from spot to spot around the circular wall. Each time he used his device to send pulses of electricity in the patterns the alien showed him. Each time, more of the light dots fell back into their proper dance. We're doing it, Jack said. Sweat ran down his face from concentration, but he felt a growing excitement. He was helping fix an alien spacecraft. After an hour of careful work, the last spot was fixed. The entire wall now pulsed with smooth, even light. The pattern was complete again. The being moved to the center of the room. Its light grew brighter. Jack felt waves of gratitude flowing from it. You're welcome, he said with a smile. I'm glad I could help. The being moved toward the opening of the craft. Jack followed. As they stepped outside, the military personnel and scientists watched with wide eyes. The light being raised its arms to the sky. It made a sound like 1,000 wind chimes playing at once. The night air filled with music. What's happening? Asked General Harris, moving closer to Jack. I think it's saying thank you, Jack replied. And maybe something more. The being turned to Jack. Once more images filled his mind. He saw other light beings, many of them. He saw large ships among the stars. He saw the beings and humans meeting, talking, sharing knowledge. They want to establish contact, Jack told the others. Real contact. They were sending a scout to meet us, but it got damaged on the way. If we hadn't helped fix it, they might have thought we were hostile, Mary finished his thought. The light being began to fade slightly, becoming transparent. It was returning to its craft. They're leaving? Asked Ben. Jack nodded. This one is, but others will come. Soon. The being entered its craft. The opening sealed itself, becoming solid once more. The blue glow brightened, and slowly the object rose from the desert floor. It hovered for a moment, then shot upward with incredible speed, leaving only a fading trail of light. Everyone stood in silence looking up at the stars. "Well," said General Harris finally, "I guess we better prepare for visitors." Jack nodded, still holding his simple testing device. Who would have thought that fixing broken things would be humanity's first real communication with alien life? Sometimes the simplest skills were the most important. As they walked back to the jeeps, Mary fell in step beside Jack. "What were they like?" she asked quietly. "In your mind, when they showed you things?" Jack thought for a moment. "Curious," he said, "peaceful. Different from us in almost every way, but still." "Still what?" "Still trying to understand the universe, just like we are." Jack looked up at the stars again. "They don't understand us, and we don't understand them. But that didn't stop us from helping. And maybe that's the most important thing they learned about humans today." The night sky seemed fuller somehow, knowing they were not alone in it anymore. 3 weeks passed since the light being left Earth. The desert research station had changed. New buildings stood where there was once only sand. Scientists from all over the world worked day and night. They wanted to be ready when the aliens returned. Jack had become important. He was the only human who had been inside the alien craft, the only one who had shared thoughts with the light being. Everyone wanted to talk to him. "Tell us again about the energy patterns," a scientist asked. Jack had lost count of how many times he had told the story. "It was like a dance," Jack explained. "All the light dots moved together in a pattern. When the pattern broke, the ship didn't work right." Mary walked into the room, saving Jack from more questions. "Time for the daily scan," she said. Every day they pointed their best equipment at the sky. They looked for any sign of the returning aliens. So far, they had found nothing. Jack followed Mary to the new control center. It was filled with screens and computers much more advanced than what they had before. The world's governments had given them everything they asked for. "Anything today?" Jack asked Ben, who sat at the main controls. Ben shook his head. "Nothing unusual, just normal." A loud beep cut him off. One of the screens changed color. "Wait," Ben said, leaning forward. Something just appeared. They all moved closer to the screen. A small dot of light had appeared at the edge of their scanning range. It was moving toward Earth. "Is it them?" Mary asked. "Too soon to tell," Ben replied. "But it's not one of our satellites or ships." Over the next hour, they tracked the object as it came closer. More dots appeared behind the first one. "Not just one ship," Jack said. "Many." The control room became crowded as word spread. General Harris arrived with his top officers. "How long until they reach Earth?" the general asked. "At their current speed, about 6 hours," Ben said. The general nodded. "We'll be ready, just in case." "They're not hostile," Jack insisted. "They're coming because we helped them." "I hope you're right," said the general. "But hope isn't a strategy." 5 hours later, the alien ships entered Earth's orbit. They were much larger than the scout craft Jack had helped fix. The largest one was about the size of a football field. 7 ships in total, arranged in a perfect circle around the Earth. "They're sending a signal," Linda said from her station. The main screen filled with moving patterns of light. They were similar to what Jack had seen inside the scout craft, but much more complex. "Can we understand it?" asked General Harris. Linda shook her head. "It's not like any language we know." Jack stepped forward. "It's not words. It's energy patterns, like what I saw in their ship." "Can you read it?" Mary asked. Jack looked at the screen. He tried to see the pattern like he had before. "I think they want to meet us. They're showing a landing location." "Where?" asked the general. Jack pointed to a section of the pattern. "These lights move in circles around a central point. I think they're coming back to where the scout landed. Right here." The general didn't look convinced. "That's not much to go on." "Do you have a better idea?" Mary asked. Before the general could answer, the patterns on the screen changed. The lights formed a new shape. It looked like a human figure standing next to a light being. "Figure. That's pretty clear," Jack said. "They're showing us meeting them." The general sighed. "All right, we'll prepare for their arrival, but we're taking precautions." 2 hours later, they stood in the desert. Military vehicles formed a wide circle around the landing area. Soldiers stood ready, but kept their weapons pointed down as the general had ordered. Jack waited with Mary, Ben, and Linda. His heart beat fast in his chest. "There!" Linda pointed up. A bright light appeared in the evening sky. It grew larger as they watched. Soon they could see it was one of the smaller ships from the group in orbit. It descended slowly, coming to rest exactly where the scout ship had landed 3 weeks earlier. The ship looked similar to the scout craft but larger. Its surface glowed with the same blue light that shifted and moved like water. "What do we do now?" Mary whispered. "We wait," Jack said. "They'll make the first move." They didn't wait long. A section of the ship's surface melted away, creating an opening. Light spilled out onto the desert sand. 3 beings emerged from the ship. They were like the one Jack had met, made of shifting colored light. But these were taller and their light was brighter, stronger. The middle being moved forward. It stopped about 20 feet from where Jack stood. Jack felt a gentle push in his mind. Not words, but feelings. Curiosity, greeting, gratitude. "They're saying hello," he told the others. "And thank you." Jack stepped forward. The military personnel, tensed, but General Harris held up his hand to keep them still. "Welcome to Earth," Jack said to the light beings. The middle being moved closer. Its light changed colors, shifting through blues and purples. Jack felt more feelings in his mind. Images of stars and planets, ships traveling between them, light, beings and other strange creatures living together. "They're showing us their civilization," Jack said over his shoulder. "They live among many different kinds of aliens." The light being raised what seemed like arms. Its light brightened. Jack felt a stronger push in his mind. A question. "They want to know if we want to join them," Jack said, amazed. "To become part of a community of worlds." "Just like that?" General Harris asked. "We fix one ship and they invite us to join the Galactic Club?" Jack focused on the feelings coming from the being. "There's more to it. They've been watching us for a long time. They weren't sure about us. But the way we helped them, it showed them something important about humans." "What?" Mary asked. Jack smiled. "That we're willing to help others even when we don't understand them, even when we're afraid." The being moved even closer to Jack. Its light reached out like a hand. Jack slowly raised his own hand. "What are you doing?" the general asked nervously. "Saying yes," Jack replied. As Jack's hand met the light, he felt a rush of images and feelings, stars exploding into life, planets forming, creatures of all kinds learning and growing together. Knowledge beyond anything humans had imagined. "They want to share everything with us," Jack said, his voice filled with wonder. "All we have to do is try to understand." The being's light wrapped gently around Jack's hand. Not hot or cold, just present. A connection between 2 very different forms of life. Behind him, Jack heard Mary step forward. Then Ben. Then Linda. One by one, the humans moved closer to the light beings. "We don't understand them," Mary said quietly. "And they don't fully understand us, but that's okay." Jack nodded. "That's the point. We'll learn together." As the desert night grew darker, the lights from the alien ship grew brighter. A new chapter was beginning for Earth. One where not understanding was just the first step toward something greater. 6 months passed since the light beings invited humans to join their community of worlds. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The desert research station was now a busy spaceport. Alien ships came and went each day. Scientists and diplomats from all over Earth worked with visitors from distant stars. They learned from each other. Jack sat in the new communication center. He watched the screens showing ships in orbit around Earth. One ship was special. It was being built by humans and light beings working together. Earth's first starship. "The engine tests are complete," Mary said, walking into the room. She had become the head of the human-alien engineering team. "We're ready for the next step." Jack smiled. "I still can't believe how fast we're learning." "The light beings are good teachers," Mary replied. "And we have something to offer them, too." That was true. While the aliens had amazing technology, humans had skills the light beings lacked. Humans could work with physical objects in ways the light beings couldn't, and humans were good at solving problems in unexpected ways. Ben rushed into the room looking worried. "We have a situation," he said. A message just came in from the light being's homeworld. Jack and Mary followed Ben to the main control room. Linda was there working with a light being they called Blue. Blue had stayed on Earth as the main contact between the two species. "What's happening?" Jack asked. Blue's light flickered with concern. Jack felt images form in his mind. A distant star system, a small planet. Strange dark clouds surrounding it. "The Corax colony is in danger," Linda translated. She had learned to understand the light beings better than anyone except Jack. "Some kind of storm in space. It's cutting them off from help." "How bad is it?" Mary asked. More images filled Jack's mind. A planet where other light beings lived. Black clouds that blocked the light beings from leaving. Energy that hurt them when they tried to pass through. "Very bad," Jack said. "The colony is trapped, and the storm is draining their energy." "Can't the other light beings help them?" Ben asked. Blue's light dimmed. Jack felt sadness and frustration. "The storm blocks their ships," Jack explained. "The energy in the clouds hurts them. They can't get through." "But we might be able to," Mary said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. "Our new ship," she continued. "The hull is made of materials that might protect against the storm, and humans wouldn't be affected the same way the light beings are." Blue's light brightened. Hope flowed from the alien being. "Is the ship ready?" Jack asked. Mary thought for a moment. "It's not finished, but the main systems work. We could fly it." "It would be dangerous," Ben warned. "We've never taken it beyond Earth orbit." "We have to try," Jack said. "These beings have offered us the stars. The least we can do is help when they need us." 2 days later, Jack stood on the bridge of the starship Hope. It was Earth's first ship built to travel between stars. Mary sat at the engine controls. Ben managed the navigation systems. Linda worked with the communication equipment. 20 human crew members and 5 light beings were on board. The light beings would guide them, but they couldn't pilot the ship through the storm themselves. "All systems ready," Mary reported. "Launch in 30 seconds, Ben added. Jack took a deep breath. He had never imagined he would be the captain of Earth's first starship. He was just an engineer who fixed things. But that was exactly why he was here. "Let's go save some aliens," he said. The Hope lifted off from Earth. It rose through the atmosphere and into space. Once in orbit, the new engines powered up. They worked on principles the light beings had taught humans, using energy in ways Earth science had never imagined. The ship moved faster and faster, then suddenly jumped forward. The stars blurred around them. They were traveling faster than light. "It works," Mary cried. One of the light beings floated near Jack. It showed him images of the journey ahead. It would take 3 days to reach the Corax colony. For 3 days, the crew worked to prepare for the rescue mission. They studied the storm from the light beings' knowledge. They practiced working in their spacesuits. They prepared the ship for dangers they could only guess at. On the 3rd day, the Hope slowed down. The blur of stars became clear points of light again. Ahead of them they saw a small green planet, but around the planet swirled dark clouds that looked like black ink in water. "That doesn't look like any space storm I've ever seen," Ben said. "It's not just a storm," Linda said, working with the sensors. "It's alive, sort of. The energy has a pattern like the light beings themselves." The light beings on the bridge moved closer together. Their lights dimmed with fear. Jack felt their concern flowing into his mind. "They've never seen anything like this either," he told the others. "But they can feel it. It's hurting the colony." Mary studied the readings from the ship's sensors. "The storm is made of energy that disrupts the light being's own energy, like a poison to them, but it shouldn't affect humans the same way." "Then we go in," Jack said. "We fly through the storm and get the colonists out." Ben plotted a course toward the planet. The Hope moved forward slowly. As they approached the edge of the dark clouds, the ship's systems began to flicker. Warning, lights flashed on the control panels. The storm is affecting our systems, Mary reported. Not as badly as it would a light-being ship, but still dangerous, Jack thought quickly. This was just another problem to fix. Can we shield the main systems? Mary nodded. We can reroute power through the secondary systems. It won't be pretty, but it might work. Do it, Jack ordered. While Mary worked on the engines, Jack turned to Linda. Can we contact the colony? Linda tried the communication systems. There's too much interference from the storm, but maybe... She adjusted some controls. If we use a simple radio signal instead of the advanced systems, it might get through. Simple technology. Sometimes the old ways worked when the new ways failed. Another human advantage. Colony of Korax, Linda broadcast. This is the Earth ship Hope. We're coming to help you. Please respond. For a long moment, there was only static. Then a faint reply came through. Not words, but a pattern of signals. The same pattern Jack had seen in the scout ship months ago when he first met the light beings. They're alive, Jack said. And they're waiting for us. The Hope pushed forward, into the storm. Dark energy swirled around the ship. The hull creaked and groaned, but it held. We're going to make it, Jack said. We're going to save them. And as the ship fought its way through the darkness, Jack realized something important. Sometimes not understanding was the greatest advantage of all. The storm couldn't hurt humans the way it hurt the light beings. Different wasn't worse. Different was just different, and sometimes different was exactly what was needed. The starship Hope pushed through the dark storm around the Korax colony. The ship shook as strange energy hit its hull. Warning lights flashed on many control panels. Hull temperature rising, Ben called out from his station. The storm is heating. The outer shell. Power levels dropping, Mary added. We're using too much energy to fight through this. Jack gripped the arms of his captain's chair. They had come too far to turn back now. How much farther to the colony? Ben checked the scanners. About 10 minutes at this speed, but I don't know if we can last that long. The light beings on the bridge huddled together, their glow weak in the presence of the storm. One of them moved closer to Jack, sharing images with his mind. The colony on the planet's surface. Thousands of light beings slowly fading as the storm drained their energy. We need to go faster, Jack decided. Divert all power to engines and shields. That means no life support backup, Mary warned. If the main systems fail, they won't, Jack said with more confidence than he felt. Let's do it. Mary adjusted the controls. The ship lurched forward with new speed. The dark clouds swirled around them, thicker now. The Hope vibrated so hard that loose items fell to the floor. 5 minutes to colony, Ben reported. One of the light beings moved to a wall panel. It tried to touch the controls but pulled back quickly. Jack felt pain flash through his mind. The storm energy hurt the aliens even inside the ship. Let me help, Jack said, moving to the panel. Show me what to do. The light being sent images to Jack's mind. A way to adjust the ship's energy field. A way to create a bubble of protection. Jack worked the controls according to the mental pictures. The ship's hum changed tone. The shaking lessened slightly. Whatever you did, it's working, Mary said. The hull temperature is dropping. 3 minutes to colony, Ben announced. Linda called from the communication station. I'm getting clearer signals from the surface. The colonists know we're coming. Jack returned to his chair. Tell them to prepare for evacuation. We can't stay in this storm long. As they descended toward the planet, the clouds grew even darker. The ship's lights flickered. For a moment, all power failed, leaving them in darkness. Then the emergency systems kicked in. That was close, Mary said, her face lit only by the dim red emergency lights. Main power is struggling to restart. Jack felt fear from the light beings, but also determination. They had come this far. Can we land without main power? He asked. Ben studied his console. We have enough for one landing attempt, but taking off again with hundreds of colonists on board, that's another story. Jack thought hard. They needed more power. But where could they get it in the middle of this storm? One of the light beings floated to the center of the bridge. Its glow strengthened for a moment. Jack felt an idea forming in his mind. The storm itself, he said slowly. Its energy, different from what the light beings use, but still energy. Mary looked up. You want to power our ship with the storm that's trying to kill us? Exactly, Jack said. The storm hurts the light beings because it's opposite to their energy, but our engines might be able to use it. It's crazy, Ben said, but it might work. Mary moved quickly to the engine controls. I need to reconfigure the intake system. It wasn't designed for this. How long? Jack asked. 5 minutes, Mary replied, if we're lucky. We'll be on the ground by then, Ben said. Make it work by the time we need to leave. The Hope broke through the lowest layer of clouds. Below them, they could see the colony. Hundreds of dome-shaped buildings spread across the green landscape. But the buildings weren't glowing as they should. The storm had drained much of their power. Prepare for landing, Jack ordered. The ship descended the final distance. Landing gear extended. With a bump and a scrape, the Hope touched down on the colony's main landing area. We made it, Linda said with relief. Jack stood up. Now comes the hard part. We need to get all the colonists on board quickly. The crew put on protective suits. The storm's energy couldn't hurt humans directly, but it was better to be safe. They opened the main doors of the Hope. Outside, the air swirled with dark energy that looked like black smoke. In the distance, light beings emerged from their buildings. They moved slowly, their glow dim and weak. They're in bad shape, Linda said. Let's move, Jack ordered. The human crew spread out. They helped the weakened light beings toward the ship. It was strange work. The light beings had no solid form to grab onto. Instead, the humans created paths of safe energy using devices Mary had designed. Jack worked with 2 colonists who could barely move. Their light had faded to almost nothing. He used his device to create a bubble of clean energy around them. This way, he encouraged, though he knew they couldn't understand his words. You're going to be okay. Hundreds of light beings streamed into the ship. The humans worked tirelessly, making trip after trip into the colony. Hours passed. The storm grew stronger. Main power restored, Mary reported over the radio, and I've reconfigured the engines. We can use the storm's energy to power our escape. Good work, Jack replied. We're almost done here. Jack made one final check of the nearest buildings. All empty. The last of the colonists were boarding the ship. As he turned to leave, he saw a small flicker of light in a fallen structure. A light being was trapped inside, too weak to call for help. Jack rushed to the building. Part of the roof had collapsed. He squeezed through a narrow opening. Inside, a tiny light being huddled in the corner. It was smaller than the others. A child. It's okay, Jack said softly. I'm here to help you. He extended his energy device, creating a safe bubble around the young light being. Its glow strengthened, slightly. Jack picked up the containment field and carried it carefully out of the building. As he reached the ship, the storm intensified. Dark energy swirled around him, trying to break through his protective suit. Jack ran up the ramp with his precious cargo. That's everyone, he called as the doors closed behind him. On the bridge, Mary activated the new engine system. Engaging. Storm energy intake now. The ship hummed loudly. The deck vibrated beneath their feet. Outside, the dark clouds were being pulled toward the Hope, flowing into special collectors Mary had created. It's working, she exclaimed. We're taking in more power than we need. The Hope lifted off from the surface, rising quickly through the storm clouds. This time, instead of fighting against the storm, they were using it, drinking it in, turning its destructive force into power. As they broke free of the planet's atmosphere, the last of the storm was pulled into the ship's collectors. Space around the colony cleared, becoming normal again. Look, Linda said in wonder. The light beings from the colony were regaining their strength. Their glow returned, filling the ship with beautiful colors. They moved among the humans, touching them with tendrils of light. Gratitude and joy flowed from them. Jack smiled as he watched humans and light beings together. Different species from different worlds, who barely understood each other. Yet they had worked together to save hundreds of lives. Set course for home, he told Ben. Let's tell Earth what humans and aliens can do when we work together. The Hope turned toward Earth, its engines powered by the very storm that had threatened to destroy the colony. Behind it, the Corax colony shone brightly again, a beacon of light in the darkness of space. Sometimes, Jack thought, not understanding each other is where the real adventure begins.